of Studio Plum.
And I'm Shaun of Renstead Interiors. We're interior designers
Turned internet friends.
turned real life friends.
Welcome to the Hot Young Designers Club podcast.
We're not that hot.
Or that young.
Every week, we'll be spilling the tea on how a new generation of interior designers can run their businesses.
Welcome to the club. Hi, Shaun.
Rebecca, what's up?
I miss you.
This has been the longest 2 weeks of the longest year in history.
It's really true. And we had a kind of spur of the moment decision to come pop on here and do a bonus episode.
Sometimes the universe is telling you that you need to pause, stop, and listen. Even if that wasn't like the plan, it's telling you that needs to be the plan. And I think that's how this just happened to work out, to take a breath.
Yeah, so today we're not having a regular episode. Okay, podcast 101, turn your notifications off on your phone.
Meh.
So today we're not doing a full regular episode. We're just touching base with everybody, and we just wanted to talk about a couple things that pretty majorly been going on in our country and our lives, actually.
Yeah. We both recognized that it was an appropriate time to stop and talk about the reaction to the murder of George Floyd and acknowledge the protests around that and the Black Lives Matter movement. But also it signaled at that same time that we're like looking at what we've created thus far in our episodes and in our guest series and realizing that this isn't matching up with what we wanted it to be.
Right, and we've only been doing this a very short time, and it feels like I'm backpedaling and making excuses, which I don't want it to sound like. We just want to be clear, from the very beginning, we have set out to create a diverse platform for different types of designers, different types of people from all walks of life. And that's always been our intention, because we feel like we didn't see ourselves in a lot of things that were out there. But then we woke up one morning and realized, oh, well, that's not what this actually looks like and what we've actually done so far.
Yeah. And perception is reality for
so many. I mean, that's all we've done.
For all of our listeners and our observers, if you're looking at our roster of guest designers who are wonderful guests to have on the show, but nonetheless, it's a bunch of white women. And that is kind of the antithesis of who we wanted to represent and see as part of this Hot Young Designers Club and who we wanted to be bringing a voice to.
Well, we just wanted to make sure it was an evenly mixed percentage, and so far it's been all we've done. So we're sorry. That was, I mean, what's been so apparent is just how easy it is to have blinders on and not notice these things.
Yeah, to subconsciously still create that, even when we say, oh, that's not what we're trying to do.
And we're aware of it, and I don't feel like I just got woke last week. Like, I've been educating myself and been trying to learn more and do better, and then we still failed.
We still fell into it.
That sucks.
And it's not... I sat there with you in Vegas Market at some of the panels and some of the speaker series, and we were both kind of razzing back and forth to each other quietly, being kind of like the mean girls, but just being like, here's another clone of another designer we've already seen whose voice is being given this platform, and like making jokes about kind of seeing this stereotype repeated over and over, but not seeing other designers, vendors, and you know, affiliates in the design industry being represented from a diverse perspective. And it's not just about they're not there. It's like they're not even on the platform.
Right. And I think you and I both can relate. Like, it is not the same by any means of living as a Black person in America. But you and I, neither of us are white girls. So
Okay, check.
you kind of are.
I mean, sometimes my girl GURL comes out and that's just it. But
we got sucked into it too. So we just really had to check ourselves and do some work in the background to like start taking action and do
and
what we say.
and recognizing that the community of designers that we want to work with and get to know and provide support to and also get advice from should be from everywhere, and various obstacles in their businesses and how they can help us overcome them and how we can create new pathways for all of us to succeed. But it starts with us, and that whatever's happening in our personal lives is also another facet that we have to manage on top of learning how to make sure that this platform of the HYDC also reflects that ethos that we want to have.
Yeah, because what I think is especially disappointing in myself is that this isn't us rolling our eyes being annoyed at the decision makers. Well, it is, but we are the decision makers in this case. So that
Yep.
was
The buck stops
really
here. It is us.
short-sighted.
And we at any point could have said, wait a minute, we're pitching and talking about our list of episodes and our ideas and guests we'd like to have, and then somehow we still landed on that, and the actions are what speak. It's not that, oh, behind the scenes they were creating a more diverse roster of that. It doesn't matter, because that it you didn't see it, it wasn't happening. So to our listeners, that I'm sorry that that's what we did, and I own that. I own that. I at any point could have said, "Hold up, that's not right," and made sure that we adjusted. And
Faster.
that's something that I can reflect on here, and now that I'm grateful for it, for this coming to a head as it is, so that way we have an opportunity to learn, listen, educate ourselves and other designers around us, and then be able to share that with all of you that are listening. And I want to encourage you to continue the conversation with us to help us be better. I've been really proud of how quickly members of the design community are trying to rally around Black owned and Indigenous and people of color owned businesses and vendors. And I'm still shocked at how few there are. And I know that this is still coming up, that we're still trying to find ways to amplify those affiliates to the design industry, those designers that are out there having created huge portfolios of work and never really seen traction or been highlighted.
And a lot of
And
that is just like begets like in the
mm-hmm.
algorithm sense. So if you just only like the same types of designers or projects, you're just going to get fed more of that, and you're just in this echo
Mm-hmm.
chamber. And it's just not, we're not open to more ideas and perspectives, which I personally want more of that. So
Yeah. Like,
I think
tag
we,
us on someone you think you want us to see if you're listening. Tell us, here's someone whose voice I think is valuable and I think we should be talking to, and looking through their lens, comment on it so you can find us, because we want that. And I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, I can't speak up and say because I don't want to cause an issue. Like, hit us with it.
Yeah. It's a club. We need
This is
feedback.
this is the club for, we want this to be, and are dedicated to this being the club for everyone, for all sorts of hot and not so hot and young and not so young designers, to have a platform to learn from each other, to get better. And we did this because we weren't seeing and getting what we needed from other groups that were out there, and it was missing.
Yes.
And what was supposed to be a week to take a moment needed to be a little bit longer, because on top of a global pandemic, and on top of, you know, a national and now globalized movement around Black Lives Matter, for me in my personal life, at the same time all of this started, my dad had some very serious health concerns. um, he normally lived full-time out of state. I had to get him to my house. Within 36 hours he was hospitalized, and he's now thankfully stabilized, and he's at home with me, and he's getting treatment and working on plans with his doctors. But this will be a long game plan in my household. And so I'm quickly having to navigate the world of being a husband and a son and a caregiver and a family liaison. So it's like, okay, no pressure, like figure it out really fast, because now
And a
you have,
designer that works from home.
and yeah, and I have clients and contractors. And so none of that is like, oh, poor me. I don't, that's certainly not the case. It's just also a number of huge adjustments, mentally, physically, emotionally, and a lot of coordination. And so while I'm in the throes of finding a path forward with all of that right now, I also experience like this just deep emotional overwhelm. And I'm not normally an empath, but I think having so much coming at once kind of wore down the calluses of my nerve endings and my emotional, like my emotional receptors. And so I have been acutely aware of everything that's been going on, and sort of creating this emotional overwhelm.
Well, I think we're also, I mean, I'm very sensitive to outside energies, but I think we're all really sensitive to them in our own home.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have somebody who's suffering and ill that you really care about in your home. That's, I mean, it's palpable.
Like, yeah, there's no break from it. And there's no, you know, not being able to visit in the hospital because of COVID restrictions is really challenging. It's tough to navigate conversations with doctors and specialists. And so it adds just more layers to the complication. Um, and
Oh, and let's
so,
not forget one room challenge.
oh yeah, I'm still working on a room too, which at this point we are far too committed to be able to stop. Like stopping is, there's no going back and being like, put it back the way it was and then you'll do it later. It's like, well, no, now you're so far forward. You have to get it done so I can like not sleep on a mattress on the floor, and like put my clothes back in the room, and be able to have, now even another layer was creating a clean and safe household without stuff all over the place, for my dad to be able to move safely, and to make sure that it was the right environment to be in, because there's, you know, nurses and physical therapists and people, you know, it's all happening at once. And so yeah, I don't want to have that environment for people to be coming into. So all that is to say, like, there's a lot happening, and I think a lot of people are experiencing that.
Yeah, it's that, I mean, on the world global level all the way into the home level,
Yeah.
disruptive would be a term.
Yeah, I mean, it what I will say is this is very on brand for 2020. So my year of the rat was supposed to be an awesome, really great year. I don't know what the outcome will be yet. So we'll see. Maybe the grand theme will be change, adjustment, shifts in perspective, and all of that could be a really great outcome from it.
Yeah.
With a question
We're-
mark at the end.
Yeah. And we were really looking forward to an IRL podcast. We were going to be together in the same part of the state and have our little reunion.
And
but
that was,
it's okay.
as restrictions started to lift and being able to have limited social engagement was starting to become like a little bit safer, a little bit easier, and right protections in place, then it was like, oh no, you're not going anywhere. Like, sit back down.
Now I'm just being whiny, but that was supposed to be, like our prize at the end of our quarantine.
And I think that
it's okay.
We all need some level of normalcy to be able to continue with the things that aren't normal and to be able to adjust to those. So we didn't want to ignore what was happening, and we really want to continue to provide resources to the designers who are listening. Some of you have reached out in the last couple of weeks, and it's been reassuring to hear from you that you either missed the episodes and you want to see us come back, or you've heard great things. We did have some great feedback on guest episodes, and we love hearing that. We don't want to abandon you, but we also needed some time to focus on that and reflect on our own.
Yeah, and I think it's just going to make us better at what we're doing overall. We did get some feedback, which thank you. Our email link was broken on the website, just so
sorry,
FYI,
guys.
If you tried to email us and it circled you back right to the same site, it's been fixed. So
yes,
please send us some notes.
Yeah, you can find us on hotyoungdesignersclub.com, or you could DM us on Instagram too. Honestly, we'll be responding. We're there. You can get to us.
Yeah, we're more just taking things in more than putting things out. So that's all going to change. Again, we'll be back on track next week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to having some opportunities for us to get back to chatting and getting back on board with what's happening. We've also got, we've got some stuff in the works. There's some stuff behind the scenes. We want to prove it to you guys about what's happening. So come back.
So they're like, you come back.
You come back. You show us. So yeah. No, you.
Okay, well, that's it for this bonus episode, and we will talk again next week.
Thanks, guys. Bye, Rebecca.
Everyone. Bye, Shaun. Thanks for joining this meeting of the Hot Young Designers Club podcast.
If you liked what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Check out the show notes there for links to things we talked about today.
We are keeping the conversation going on Instagram, so don't forget to like, comment, and follow at Hot Young Designers Club.
You can find Rebecca on Instagram at Studio Plum.
And you can find Shaun at Renstead Interiors. That's WRENSTED.